Kudjeto Ablakwa reported in the media that he had intercepted documents confirming that the Social Security and National Insurance Trust (SNET) was far advanced in selling a controlling 60% stake in 6 of its hotels to Rock City Hotel Limited, owned by a Greek minister and Member of Parliament for Abetifi, Brian Yawe Champong. This occasioned widespread public outcry, prompting key stakeholders to join hands in organizing a protest in signaling government to stop the sale of these hotels. Ahead of a demonstration planned for tomorrow, June 18th, organizers have held a media engagement to give a roadmap and solidify their calls for a stop to these sales. The attendees at the press conference included members of the Minority Caucus in Parliament, Greater Accra MPs Caucus, representatives of organized labor, United Gadangbe Caucus, La Youth Groups, and Pressure Group Arise Ghana. In an interaction with the media, Northern legislator Samuel Okudjeto Ablakwa gave a detailed roadmap on tomorrow's protest and the demands canvassed by the organizers.
The demonstration will begin at 8 a.m. prompt. We are gathering in front of the Labadi Beach Hotel. This is a hotel at the center of this takeover by a cabinet minister. After converging in front of Labadi Beach Hotel at 8 a.m., we shall proceed to the La Palm Royal Beach, which is not far from the Labadi Beach Hotel. As you know, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel is also under auction and about to go. Then we will make our way through the Gifford Road, Elwak, in front of the Elwak Sports Stadium, and then proceed to the traffic light, that intersection, the Lands Commission intersection. We have agreed with the police that at that intersection we will take a left and then we will walk towards the Christ the King Catholic Church. The Ghana Police Service has pleaded with us that they do not want us to get too close to the Jubilee House. We have agreed with them that we will end the demonstration in front of the Christ the King Catholic Church on condition that representatives of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will walk from the Jubilee House and meet us around the Christ the King Catholic Church. You will be seen in our petition that we insist that President Akufo-Addo should immediately stop the sale of our SNET hotels. We want an immediate declaration from the President, because since we started this agitation, all the President has done is to ask organized labor to go and meet the Employment Minister, to go and meet the SNET board, at which meetings, as organized labor has told us, these appointees of the President try to convince them to agree with them for the sale to go ahead. So clearly the President and his appointees don't want to stop the sale. And we are going to insist tomorrow that the President announces that they are backing out of this unconscionable transaction. We are also demanding that state assets should no longer be sold.
Spokesperson for Organized Labor, Susanna Ayele Adefio Sechere, issued a clarion call to Ghanaians to rise up and fight the indiscriminate capture of state assets.
It's a yearning in organized labor that even SNET is looked at. If it's the management of SNET, hey, let's look at it. Let's look at it and look at how is it that every now and again we have issues with SNET. So this is a national call for. We must be interested, because I don't want to work the whole of my, how many years, over 40 years life, and go on retirement and pauper.
Of the Greater Accra Regional MPs Caucus further called for the safeguarding and protection of state assets, which were created for the beneficial interest of the public and not a selected, privileged few.
Our country is alive. Our workers of this country cannot toil for nothing. our friends, our parents, our neighbors, our family members wake up every day and go to work. So the name in this country, Ghana, will stand. And how and why will we take the toil of their hands, their energy? And there comes a time when an individual or group of persons will take it away. We have seen that this
Good afternoon there. You're welcome to Youth Empowerment Television Show here on Pan-African Television. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon and I am excited to be on the show this afternoon. I'm glad that I'll be spending my day with you, and my guests are already seated. We are getting into two major topics this afternoon. We are talking about the stock of medications at the port from August 2023. It's very sad. And we're also getting into the sales of assets for future generations to public office holders. I'm sure you are aware of, if you're following the news, you're aware of some of these things that have been going on, or you've read some of these reports. And so I'll be glad if you would share your thoughts and concerns with me on our WhatsApp number 053-1320-444. Let me also let you know that we are streaming live on Facebook at Youth Empowerment Television Show across the globe. So if you are there, please feel free to leave your comments and your thoughts in the comment section, and I promise to read them for you. I have very familiar faces on the show today. My brother Jesse Jakes, he's a social or youth activist. It's been a while since we saw him on the show. And then Clinton Ofe, youth activist. I think last week or last 2 weeks we were on the show. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mommy. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Clinton, why are you looking at me like that?
You always have a problem with me looking. I admire you a lot.
What?
So whenever I'm seated here, usually I normally get seated in a manner that I will be able to have a perfect glance of how beautiful you look. So it's just like that. I just sit down here, look at you, admire you for a while, then I get that motivation to start.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I'm your motivator. I hope I motivate you to speak to the truth this afternoon.
Okay, go ahead.
Obviously. Jesse, how are you?
So far, so good. God has been so great. And the economy is grappling us down because since the arrested depreciating city has broken bounds from the prison, and the individual
do you think they even arrested them?
And the individual who arrested the depreciating city, one is not a security personnel, and two has turned into an economic dancer, performing shows with guru on stages. So what do you expect?
Meeting Kim Paluta.
Exactly. So what do you expect? He has now turned into an economic dancer, and he's not making any fiscal policies to improve our economic system. So we'll keep on to, battle with the system till December 7th, and we will know what to do. Yeah, we are going to particularize the phrase that Nana-Addo used in 2016. So we're 6 for 12.
Okay.
Exactly, because whether NPP or NDC, we are being affected by the current economic hardship. And so it's simple. And discerning Ghanaians are watching, and discerning Ghanaians are feeling the economic crisis within their pockets. We are not living by the inflation rates. So you will know what to do as time goes on. I
take it as you are not very well. Your eyes are even red. Clinton, how about you? How are you doing?
Of course, I'm doing fantastically well. I want to extend another greetings to the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodia Frimpong. General, I greet you, sir. So I think it is just yesterday or a day before yesterday that the statistical board, or is it an authority, released the growth of the GDP, which is impressive. Initially, we were projecting that the GDP was going to grow around 2-point-something%, but now it is growing around 4.65%, which is
but I'm now buying plantain, one finger of plantain for 5 cents.
Plantain purchases and its price modulation is seasonal. This is not the first time you've bought plantain, and this is not the first time the MPP is in power. The MPP did not come to power just yesterday that you bought plantain. So what about the previous amount that you bought a plantain for?
That is why we voted those people out, to give
people
the
I'm just telling you that buying plantain, we have been in this country where there was a bumper harvest. What did you say about that? You didn't care that there was a bumper harvest, and it was as a matter of a policy directive. We didn't grow them, but today we are growing plantains. So you are buying one at 10 cedis, and you think it is our fault.
Interesting times.
It is a seasonal crop. And there are times that we have them in bulk, and there are times that they become a little bit scarce. So when we get into the arena where there is a little bit scarce, I know that it affects people's pocket. But I mean, we become a little considerate because we know that it will get to another time that...
Clinton, my question was, how are you? And you are telling me about statistics and all of that.
Because I just want you to understand the economic environment
I take it as you are fine. I'm fine. You are fine.
Obviously. You are fine. You are also fine, right?
Well, I can't complain.
When you asked me about how I'm faring, you were talking about plantain.
I didn't ask you about plantain. You brought up the statistics of GDP, and I said it's affecting. You are talking about prices. Statistics, but I'm talking about the fuel on the ground. But
so
anyways,
you don't believe in statistics anymore?
I mean, it's not about statistics.
What is it about?
We are talking about the practicality of it. We can read the books.
So the statistics are not practical.
It's just like going to school and then knowing the theory. There are schools in Edioko number 2. They've read about mouse, but if you show them a computer mouse, they don't know it.
That's not exclusive to those people there. It doesn't happen everywhere. So.
Anyways, Clayton, I believe you are doing well.
I'm fine, thank you.
You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So let's get, according to my producer, we should get into the issues of sale of properties that are supposed to be for the future generations to public office holders. And what I want to ask about this topic is that why is it happening? I mean, the genesis of it is that it's not just subject to this MPP government. It has been there since time immemorial. We can talk about former President J.J. Rawlings, may he so rest in perfect peace, who it's alleged that sold the Nsawam cannery plant to his wife. And then we can also talk about the late Sir John, may he also rest in peace, the former CEO for Forestry Commission, who after his death we saw a purported will of his that came out, and then we saw some lands that were supposed to be reserves, forest reserves, that have been given to him, sold to him, by extension sold to his family and to allegedly his girlfriend and all of that. But my question is that why are we given properties that are meant for the future generation to public office holders, even though there are constitutional dictates that trump over these? There are constitutional dictates that bars them from purchasing these lands. Why are we going inconsistent with the 1992 Constitution? Clinton, let me start with you, then I'll come to you.
Are you sure that there is any restrictive legislation that ban? If you can reference me to that, but before you bring those documents of references, maybe we can we can proceed. Okay. What I think about diversity and almost share sales and all of that, I don't think that it's really a bad thing like we are trying to make it look like. You see, if there are hotels or there are properties that a lot of people, individuals have shares in it. Yeah. If you take the West Hills Mall, for example, SSNIT is the highest shareholder. There are other foreign participants who also own shares in those businesses. Okay, and nobody has complained about that. This is also an SSNIT property that I know that has other international shareholders. If you take the MPS deal that is at the port right now, there are international shareholders as well as local shareholders. Of course, Alhaji Banda is a shareholder. He holds 12.6% in MPS at the port. You get it?
But Clinton, don't restrict yourself to just the SSNIT. That is why I did not mention it specifically. So we are not restricting ourselves to just the sale of SSNIT hotels and what have you. We are looking at even the historical background of it. That's why I've given you some references. I've given you some historical information about, this is not, it did not start in this era. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the sale in general. Why do we have to?
If it did not start in this era, and then it's a bureaucratic norm. It is
so
not
even if it's wrong and it's bureaucratically a norm,
if it is wrong, how do you dictate that something is wrong or not? Does it has any composition of an illegality? That we can look into the illegality of the matter. That, hey, you are not eligible to have this kind of arrangement with state asset. Yeah. Okay. I believe that the primary objective or mandate of the Social Security National Insurance Trust, that's the SSNIT, is to pay pensions. Yeah. So if at the point in time they have assets, they have businesses, they feel like I have to float some of these shares for individuals to come and invest in it so that I can collect money and pump into the pensions that I pay on a regular basis. Yeah. How is it wrong? It is a business practice. They are managing pensions of Ghanaians, and they feel like as at this time we need this amount of money to operationalize our activities. Yeah. And then if we get to that point that we need to offload some of our shares to get money into the operations so that we can run smoothly without any liquidity issue, I don't see why we should have a problem with it. That is why nobody has raised any issue about procurement breaches. That is why it is basically about the supposed moral contest, because like I said, ordinarily I didn't even know that the LAPAM belongs to the SSNIT. Okay, so if I feel like, okay, the state have been able to build some hotels and then functionable businesses that is also working, and then it becomes a national heritage. Yeah. Okay, so ordinarily I can side with people who would want it to stay, to represent the country, that even if we don't have anything at all, we have a certain fleet of hotels that belongs to the nation. But it is also an investment of SSNIT. SSNIT can choose to enter into different businesses at any point in time. They can even decide that, okay,
we are still choosing to stay on the SSNIT factor.
Because the matter is preliminary a SSNIT issue. Okay, so the basis of what we are discussing today is the uprising that came up from the demonstration.
But I also want us to look at it historically.
Yes.
Like I have already told you, the late President Rawlings allegedly sold the Nsawam cannery plant to his wife. The late Sir John bought some lands that were supposed to be forestry reserves. Don't you see anything wrong with this? Or you are saying that there's no basis for illegality and so we should just allow it to go?
I mostly deal with legal matters. If the issue that we are discussing...
So there's nothing wrong with purchasing a forest reserve?
If it is a forest... I even have a problem with reserving the forest in the center of Accra, in the city. I don't know why we are keeping the forest in Accra. We need lands to industrialize our city. We need to commercialize
in the middle of Accra.
Yeah, we have so many landlocked areas that we can place forests, and we have a lot of forests. So at this time that we have even decided to even move the zoo from Accra to even Kumasi or something, we should think about industrializing that whole area we have kept there as a forest reserve. So I don't even agree with we having that reservation of a forest reserve in the center of the capital town of Ghana, because I don't think that there's anything like that anywhere around the world. I don't think so. So that is my little understanding based on that. And if you want to talk about the former president selling off properties of the state to his wife and all of that, what if the wife was not the one positioned to purchase it, but any other person? Would that be legitimate? Would that
why are we selling a state property to an individual?
But who is supposed? Anybody can be represented as an individual or an entity of a business. If you register a business and then you tender for a project or a contract, you become the individual frontlining that activity. So if you come forward and you say that I have interest in this purchase, then I want to advance towards its acquisition, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, provided that you have the requisite or prerequisite demands that it may need for you to acquire that property. I don't see anything wrong with it. I am even thinking that we should encourage more private sector participation in the management of our state resources. Private sector participation, yes. That is how it's supposed to be. You see, the American gas is run by private sector. But the American can decide that, this is a state asset, this is a state institution. We need to run it within ourselves. The government must run that show, but they have privatized it because they know that sometimes when you get the private sector involved, there's certain efficiency that you can record and all of that you wouldn't have to encounter nepotism and almost all of those things. And if you go to the passport center at the Accra Digital Center, a private business is running that business.
So that instead of the state getting benefits from it, individuals would be receiving private money.
The individuals would pay taxes to government.
Okay.
That's how we empower the society.
Let me go to
You don't
Jesse.
take the businesses the individual or the citizens are supposed to do. Then you'll be competing with the business because you have very favorable environment. Sometimes you can declare that you have paid your SNIT and you have not paid it, but you'll be holding the individual private businessman liable to pay SNIT. So the motive of the Geneva Convention is for private public sector participation. It is a convention that we have signed on to. A lot of democratic states right now have signed on to.
As for signing, Ghanaians are very quick in signing it, but not implemented.
So it is. So these are some of these arrangements that we have been involved in. You get it? And so if you get yourself into these some of these arrangements, you don't just turn around and then be competing with the private sector. Allow the private sector to be working. While they work, they take the employment responsibility from you. They bring taxation and a lot of things that is going to help your government grow.
Okay, I've heard you, Clinton. Jesse, what do you make of this issue?
Mommy, good afternoon to
good
your
afternoon.
Viewers. Been stressed out for this week, been on the media since Monday. Good morning to lawyer Richmond Amofasapon, and good morning to our own producer, Jiniam Nanakwesi. This, sorry, we live in a country where citizens always sleeps on empty stomach each and every day. We live in our motherland country where graduates are rushing to leave their own motherland to go and hustle in another man's land. We live in our own countries where people are suffering.
Yeah.
The economic system and power crisis is grappling down local businesses. It is actually driving away multi-million international companies from our local business environments. And it is rendering...
These facts, or you're just making speculations?
These are things on record, and everything that I'm going to spill out today is on record. Power crisis is grappling down local businesses, and it is rendering graduates to stay at home for a very long time. And it's very expedient and imperative that we address the current situation surrounding the SNIT issue. Actually, this SNIT issue started with the ILO reports. And I'm going to give a comparative analysis on the ILO report in relation to the topic this afternoon.
Yeah.
Because whatever discussion that we are having here is in accurate direction to the ILO report. Now, how did we get here? That a state-owned property which belongs to everybody who is a citizen of the country, and so it is immoral for a government appointee. You can say
is not captured in the it's not captured in the Constitution. What might be morally right to you may be morally wrong to me.
On the baseline, something that is meant for the whole populace, it will be immoral to sell it and benefit from it alone.
But it doesn't make it illegal.
We are talking about, it's illegal. It's illegal because I'm building my point, graduate. It's illegal because the magnitude of the percentage being given to a private personality or a private company is what we are talking about here. And this is SNIT that we are talking about. SNIT is a government institution that keeps our pension monies. And so in some time in our lives when we can't work, then we can rely on these accumulated funds to settle our lives. Do you get it? And here we are as a country selling internationally recognized brands to individuals.
But does that take away the fact that when you are old and you need your monies, you would not be able to access the monies?
You will get there, don't worry, you will get there.
I'm pressed with time, that's why I'm
putting
pressure on all of us.
So to my point, it is not right for the government to sell, and even the Rock City Hotel in question here has been recording losses since its time of inception. It is on record and on the GRA reports that since construction of this Rock City till today, it has been recording losses. Now, it only recorded a profit in 2021, which was 1.6 million. And that 1.6 million alone is being used by Labadi Beach Hotel to render their social responsibilities. And so it is not right, and it is a wicked and blatant behavior to sell a record, to sell a loss recording company to a profit-making company. And here, Labadi Beach Hotel is a profit-making company. And so if Nana Addo Mbawumia tells you that Rock City Hotel is going to save...
Which belongs to Brian Acheampong.
Exactly. Which belongs to Brian Acheampong. Yeah. Is going to save these companies. Then it is a blatant lie. It is nothing.
So are we watching, are we watering down the efficacy of Brian Acheampong?
Yes.
Handling all these
exactly, because look, let's go into some analysis before we end on this topic. Now, Labadi Beach Hotel just last year gathered a profit of 158 million Ghana cedis according to the GRA report. Now they paid dividends to the government around 25 million Ghana cedis. And report says that a year before they recorded a profit of 10 million Ghana cedis. And when you read the Deloitte report, Deloitte is an international audit firm, a very recognized one. Now, Deloitte report says that Labadi Beach Hotel is a profitable company and that their 5 local businesses has an amount accumulated to 58.4 million Ghana cedis. That is just their cash reserve. You get it?
Yeah.
And now we are selling this profit-making company to Rock City Hotel, which has been recording losses since its inception. And they've recorded profit once in their lifetime.
Why is the NDC, or why are people going on demonstration, particularly for this one, when we know that both parties, whether NDC or NPP, this is not the start of this issue. This is not when this thing started. Yeah. It has been there, like I've said in my introduction and earlier on. It has been there since time immemorial, even in the time of former President J.J. Rawlings. So why are we making a lot of noise about this one? Why do we have a problem with it? Is it because we are not benefiting from it?
You see, since the time this government came into power, it's been more than 7 years.
Yeah.
When you look at the
but the NDC has had more time in government than the NPP, if you are making comparisons.
No, I'm building on point.
Build your points quickly, in just a minute.
Since the NPP came into power, it's been over 7 years now.
Yeah.
And they have engaged in a lot of scandalous deals, even including the PDS deal, and even including the Collateralized Energy Sector Levy Act. And the magnitude of the effect having on this country is the reason why we are organizing this demonstration. To get it, the magnitude of the effect. While both parties are not perfect, we know they have their shortcomings and everything, but we are talking about the magnitude of the effect. Look, our economic system is not helping businesses, and you can attest to the fact. And every metric of assessment of this government has been nothing but failure. What is your salary? Every metric of assessment. What is our inflation rate? And just last week, I heard a communique from Ghana Statistical Service, a very insensible, a very blatant, useless communique. I'm coming. This is a very, yes, I'm checking my words very correctly, and this is a very serious issue. Ghana Statistical Service is telling us that our inflation rate is growing at a slower pace. Does it make sense to the ordinary businessman outside there? Just last 2 weeks.
But last week they explained what it means for it to be growing at a slower pace. It means that it will take a longer time for
we all understand slower pace, right?
Yes.
So just last month, 3 fresh tomatoes cost 5 Ghana cedis. Just last month.
Yeah.
Now, after the show, we can go to the various markets. A fresh tomato costs 5 cedis. So what is the slower pace here? Or do you think we can't read between the lines? Are we joking or something? Or you think it's just an election year, so we are cooking results and everything? And look, the discussion, as I said earlier, is directing towards the ILO report, which reveals that if SSNIT doesn't stop all its reckless spending, by the year 2036, SSNIT will not be able to pay pensions. And this is frightening because it's in relation to what they are doing, selling state-owned properties to a government appointee, giving him 60% of shares.
Is the problem the fact that he is a government appointee? Had he been an ordinary Ghanaian citizen, would it be a problem?
No, the argument here is the percentage given to the individual. is the percent, because how can you give 60%? And this is SSNIT. We're talking about SSNIT. It's not just any other government, this is SSNIT. People's lives depends on SSNIT after 60 years. And now you're giving 60% to an individual. And the other argument is that the company going to take over these hotels, this company has nothing good to write about. Okay. They've been recording losses, and so it doesn't make sense to even a JHS student to even engage in this argument, because how do you give a profit-making company to a profit-losing company? Does it make sense to you as a host? Does it make sense to you? Let's put partisan politics aside. Does it make sense to you? It doesn't make sense. So I don't understand why our PhD holding leaders, somebody like Bawumia, would engage in such an act. It doesn't make sense. And so
is he directly involved in this?
Oh, you asking me who is the head of the economic management team, and all issues surrounding this hotel issue is basically economic, it's financials. You get it? And so he is directly involved, and he is the flag bearer of the leading party. And so whatever that goes on wrong or right, he's supposed to be blamed.
He says he's the driver's mate. He doesn't.
And that ideology about being driver, it doesn't make sense to me, because you can't play with the president's seat and equate it to a normal situation. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, let's move to our second major topic. I don't know why Clinton is looking at me like that. I'm not the one who is doing the talking. So Clinton, let me give you a minute to rebut to something before I get into our topic, if you have something to...
He was saying that Rock City had not made profit, so they cannot venture into other business. I think that is a wrong proposition.
I mean, has he made profit? Has it made profit?
If I have my money, regardless of how my business is doing, if I have my money as a businessman and I want to invest or diversify my investment,
and your company is not making profit.
What has that got to do?
Your company is not making profit. So you are telling me. So no. I want us to have a good discussion.
Exactly. So you allow him to talk.
Discerning people are watching us, and you want to sit here. And tell me, and tell Daniel, no, I'm not going to allow him to make false statements, because these are issues by the jury. So you need to be correcting him, because these are facts produced by the jury.
That's what I'm saying.
So you need to correct him.
Let him make his point.
Yes, he will speak.
If I keep interjecting him, he cannot make his point. But if he makes his point,
listen. People are watching, and so if you make statements that are not in place, you need to correct him.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That he has to make his point.
Here and be
he has to, but
which are not true.
You cannot.
No, you should get me.
I understand what you're saying.
Be telling lies.
I'm saying that he has to make his point, because he has not even landed.
His point,
he has not even landed.
But in making his point, he needs to make sure that all facts and figures should be correct.
So
because
why did I lie?
You lied because the company you mentioned. You lied because the company you mentioned has never made profit since starting from its inception.
Profit since its inception.
Yes,
and then we have excess funds that we think that we can invest. No, so how are we buying that share? How are we buying the 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 share? How are
the lies successful?
So why do you? How are we buying the share? How are we buying the share?
It doesn't make sense. So you need to
Jesse, Okay, so let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue on the show. Please, let's take a break.
That is then the show.
You're welcome back from that quick turnaround. I believe that my gentlemen have settled down and then we can continue on the conversation. So, Clinton, you were on the floor before we went on the breather. Please continue.
So, a company doesn't have to declare profit before they will be able to make other subsidiary acquisition. It is not stated anywhere that I have to declare that I'm making profit somewhere before I can make other acquisition. I can have a taxi or an Uber car, and then I'll realize that, okay, this Uber, I'm not making a lot of money in Accra, so I'm buying another Uber in Kumasi, and then I'll try the market environment there, and then see the performance.
If you're using that analogy, you would agree with me that everybody who is going into an investment goes in there with an idea of making profit, of earning something that is lucrative, isn't it? So if your taxi business is not, you are not able to manage your taxi business in Accra enough to make profit, how are we assured to give you another money to buy another taxi?
Who are you giving the money? It's my own money. Okay. This is Brian's money.
So the one that you
say that there's a business lifespan. Okay, there are times that you set a business that you run at a loss, and get to a point that you break even, then eventually you start making profit. And we all know that. You
come back to a climax.
Exactly. So we all know that Rock City Hotel is a new business. Are we not sure that the Rock City hotel is a new business? So we cannot expect.
Brian, a tampon is not new in the hotel business.
In the hotel business. So if you are citing Rock City as an exclusive business that is not making profit, so he cannot have the basis to, then I think we are getting the whole thing wrong. He is a businessman. He invests into anything that he feels that it can bring him money. So he have identified that, okay, the Senate has floated some shares, and then they want participants who are going to patronize it, and he has declared it is his money. Whether he's going to run at a loss managing the conglomerate of hotels or chain of hotels, it is his business that he wants to do.
No, it becomes our business because it is hotels that are in association with SNIT.
Yes, I understand.
Because
and I'm saying
our futures and our lives after 60 are in the hands of SNIT.
Of course, but SNIT is not exclusively relying on the dividends of the hotel to pay pensions.
If the share percentage is higher,
okay, so when SNIT was not having the LAPAM, how were they paying their premiums and then pensions? How are they paying it? So they have a very strategic method of addressing their own
so
payments.
It doesn't change anything,
according to you? I'm saying that on the side of SNIT, they have decided that, I'm floating some shares. Businesses internationally, like the General Motors, like the Google and other businesses, they float shares on the public. And then if you go to the stock exchange, Google is a state-owned business, and then they have shares there that people patronize. Atlantic Lithium, people have bought some shares in it, so you get it. So it is like that. It is something that goes on in the business terrain. If you are ignorant about how business are run, then you wouldn't see this thing as a model that exists already. You would conceptualize it as if maybe it is some scandal that is unfolding, but it is a business norm that goes on almost all the time. You understand? Whether or not you think that how can you establish a basis that my business that I have I invested in the past have not made profit, so I can't invest in any business? How does this make sense? You get it? So
even if you look at biblically, the Bible says that the
so we are discussing Bible here. If you want to introduce biblical,
I'm just making it as a point that even the Bible says that the man who cannot take care of his household cannot take care of the house of the Lord. So if you've not been able to handle your own businesses that you set up yourself.
And he said, how many businesses of Brian do you know that he has not been able to handle?
So
how was he been able to build the biggest
hotel in West Africa?
Let me read.
To build it if his businesses were not doing well.
Let me read a message. Let me read a message here, and then we can go to our second topic, because if not, we would be centered on this issue throughout the afternoon. This person says, "Hi, good afternoon. I'm Gabriel from Kumasi, Pakoso. I think NPP will definitely defend this issue for now, but it will soon come to end by the time Ghanaians will change government. And my dear friend, make sure you sing the same song you are singing now." I don't know if this is for Clinton or who is singing what song, but no, because he is talking about the MPP. So anyways, let's get into our second topic that I'm very passionate about, and it breaks my heart that we've gotten to this level. I hope that I'll be receiving information that speaks to the fact that, you know, these medications have been cleared. So we are aware that life-saving drugs for TB, tuberculosis, for malaria, HIV, and other various diseases valued at $45 million are stuck at the Tema port, while hospitals face a shortage of these medications. And global funds, as at last week, have threatened to sever all ties with Ghana if these drugs are not cleared. My question is, Clinton, what is the simple reason the medications have been given to Ghana freely, have been stuck at the Tema port over a year? What is the simple reason? There are
several faults
get us into
challenging the situation at the port with clearances. One of it is conditionalities that we are entangled with, and then the other is bureaucracies.
What are the conditionalities? Because I know that some of these drugs or items are exempt under the exemption tax, isn't it?
If they are exempted, they wouldn't be there. They automatically should be cleared.
I know they're exempted, but I know that there are other obligations that
some levies that they are supposed to. Before there are several ECOWAS levies. There are a lot of levies at the port. That's why I said that there's a cumbersome circumstances surrounding clearing things at the port. Okay, so when your goods come and even you are entitled to get a tax clearance, it has to go to Parliament for Parliament to approve it first. Okay, you know that recently we signed on to an IMF program. IMF identified that when we were building MPS, the port expansion, the tax exemptions alone was $850 million. They realized that it was not sustainable to be granting tax exemption holistically in that manner. It becomes very reckless and clueless. So we should be measured, and then if we want to be in the program, then we have to stick to the condition of not issuing any further tax exemptions or tax clearances for any item that comes. So if the government wants to clear something...
So that's the reason why the medications are still
I'm
there.
just trying to make a point.
Okay.
Okay, so basically if you are restricted from issuing a tax clearance, because in the past, we go to, when there are machineries for construction, we quickly go to Parliament, seek tax clearance, we get approved, and we clear our goods. It happens almost all the time. Why is it that retrovirus, this is not the first time retrovirus, antiretrovirus has entered the country, and we are having challenges with clearing because of some of these conditionalities. And another thing, like I told, the bureaucracies that exist in the port. You see, immediately the item comes from wherever, it doesn't come and then automatically goes off.
But it has taken over a year.
Yes.
So
you said August last year, right? So it hasn't taken over a year.
No.
Or how do you calculate your years?
I think that was an error made by my team or something like that. But it's over a year. It's over a year, according to the reports that have been put out. It's over a year.
I also think that we have to the bureaucratic tendency that exists in the port for clearance of some of these things, we have to look into modifying it and then amending some of these laws just so that...
But the finance ministry has said that they've released 40 million for the clearance of...
So you see that the finance ministry have to advance payment for the clearance of those things. You cannot automatically clear them like that. That's why I'm talking about bureaucracies. Okay, so let's say that immediately the goods arrive, the government have not facilitated any budget of allocation for those clearance to be made.
Clinton, how can you say that the government has not facilitated?
Government work with budget.
Let me ask my question, please. How can you say that the government has not facilitated any budget for the clearance of these medications when you and I are very much aware that the global funds do not sit in their offices and decide the medications that we need as Ghanaians? We sit here and decide, and we go and beg them, and they bring. So how do you tell me that something that we've sat here in Ghana, thought about that these are the things that we need, we've begged them, now they've brought them, and you're telling me that we don't have
That's why I'm saying that the situation that existed for these clearances has changed.
That's
why we're having these difficulties. So the government have to solicit for extra funds in excess of about 40 million. Is it cedis or dollars, like you have mentioned?
Cedis. Yeah.
And that is not
apparently they released 7 million last April to clear 14 of them. But even before that, the PRO came out to say that these containers are not indeed medications for TB, malaria, or HIV. They are just mosquito nets.
Who said that?
The PRO from the Ministry of Health.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
so
then it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
But I don't understand how you can say we do not have budget. We didn't budget for this. I'm really trying to understand.
You are really yes. That is the situation. If there was a budget allocation for those test clearances. Initially, that's why I'm saying that the system has changed. Initially, we don't even need to budget for that. We just get a task clearance through parliamentary approval, and then we get our medication. But because we have joined the program and there are certain restrictions, we have to abide by those conditions, and that is placing a restriction on us having to clear all of
it. Because so, like, there are people in hospitals. You are building Agenda 111 hospitals.
So that is why the government has to do whatever it has to do to get to the funding so that those things will be clear. So that's why you have even said that 40 million has been advanced. So if that is the procedure, then eventually we are going to get it cleared.
When is the eventually? Because people's lives hang in this balance.
Yes, so as we have released the money, definitely some will be cleared. Is that not the case? If we have released money in April and then we are in June, right, another tranche has been released, subsequently we will get to clear everything that is outstanding, and then all the medication will be released for the general public to benefit from it. That's what is going to happen. Yes. Okay,
Jesse, I have just about 5 minutes, so I'll give you 3 minutes and then I'll talk for 2 minutes.
No, but Mami, you can't give me 3 minutes.
Please speak now, so that you have your 3 minutes.
So, Mami, something very important as medication.
Yeah.
You know, these are people's lives, and one thing about TB is that TB is very contagious.
Yeah.
When I have TB and I'm sitting closer to you, it's automatic that you're going to get TB. It's scientific, it's natural. And free medications has been released to this country. And I sit here and I stand with the children who are under the heavy effect of malaria. Because when you conduct research in our various rural areas, you will conclude on the fact that malaria is the highest recorded disease in all our various rural areas. And we have a president who is insensitive to the plight of Ghanaians. And yes, of course, we have the Exemptions Act. And it is on record that the government, just this year, used the Exemption Act to use the Exemptions Act to import $70 million worth of vehicles into the country without duties by using the Exemptions Act. So I don't understand why the government cannot use the same method to clear all these rules stuck at the airport. And one problem with all this issue is that whenever you purchase a medication, there is an inscription on it saying store in a cool, dry place to ensure maximum efficacy so that it can clear whatever virus, bacteria, pathology stuck in your body. And these containers has been under the sun and rain for more than 12 months. So how are you sure that these drugs, when administered to patients, can cure of their ailments? And we are talking about people's lives here. You get it? And because we have a government who is insensitive to the plight of Ghanaians, it doesn't care what happens to all these containers of medication stuck at the port. And it is on record also that, as she said earlier, the Ministry of Finance has released 40 million Ghana cedis to be used to clear the containers. And according to them, they said they've used 7 million out of the 40 million to clear only 14 containers. And so why do
I believe that is what contains the TB and malaria.
Exactly. And so why do we still have a released money to be used to clear these containers, and still these containers are still being stuck at the port? And so it tells you that the minister was lying, because if you have released money for a particular product, the product should be cleared from the port. So you can't issue a communique and lie into the faces of Ghanaians. And you see, I will say something that ordinarily I will not say on live on TV.
Okay, you have just 30 seconds.
I personally know some MPP members that travels outside the country every week to seek medication of their HIV and AIDS disease. I personally know them. And I don't know whether the media will allow me to. I can't
allow that. That is somebody's health.
Exactly. But so personally, I know some MPP members who...
No, you can't put somebody's health records. No, you can't put somebody's health records.
So you want me to put me on the spot?
Yes.
No, I can't allow that on my show.
And so what happens to the common man? Who cannot, please, my brother, listen, next time get somebody who can bring fat, because the next time I'm not going to tolerate anybody who just say anything because of partisan politics. And so what happens to the common man who cannot purchase the services of a private hospital for better treatment because the government hospital system has been crashed down? What happens to the common man? And we are sitting here politicizing people's health. We are
it's sad. We don't have to politicize it because
there are some
this is not about, you know, a host or a presenter siding with one guest or something. I'm going to say this. What makes me sad or breaks my heart about this issue is that people who were already on the medications for HIV, for tuberculosis, for malaria, or for whatever diseases that they had, they would have to stop taking it because there was shortage. Now that they have been cleared, or now that they purport to have been cleared, they would have to go back on the drugs. And then that means that their bodies or their systems would have
developed a resistance.
And now they would have to take an upgrade, which is more expensive and which we do not have.
And the second issue is that next year, 2025, these drugs are going to be expired. These drugs are going to be, and so yesterday I said to the Global Fund that if by the end of this month there have not been any improvement, they should cut ties with this country once and for all.
They have threatened, but I hope that they don't, because it is not about the people in leadership. It is about the people who benefit from these things. It saddens my heart a lot. But I mean, let me read just this message and then I'm out of here. I'm Nana J. Misa Krante. My question is it those managing the SSNIT hotels making losses? If no, then why should we leave it to be managed by an entity who can even handle his own affairs? It doesn't make sense at all. So okay. This person says, hi, I feel bad and sorry for young ones to be defending something like this, something that would destroy your future, and young ones will continue defending it. Mad host, ask the gentleman for me whether he's a SSNIT contributor. Clinton, I'm supposed to ask you.
It's serious.
Truly African.
Botswana is a landlocked